why don't we get started with the sports action and talk about maybe the biggest game this weekend, not just because I'm a Pats fan. Over 30 million people in the United States tuned in to watch Sunday Night Football, where Tom Brady returned to Gillette Stadium to play the New England Patriots. What were our initial thoughts going into the game, Johnny? What was your thoughts while watching the game?
Going into the game, I thought Brady was just going to destroy that defense. I didn't think it was going to be as close a game as it was. But, I mean, it makes sense. The Pats know Brady more than any other team. Belichick knows how he plays. I'm sure he gave cue cards to every defensive member, But, they played him well. It was a solid defensive game for the Patriots. Like I said, I didn't think it was going to be that close. I was not expecting it.
Yeah. Gav, what'd you think while watching that?
Yeah, I think I can definitely agree with Johnny. I didn't know how hyped it would be. I just thought business as usual. Tom Brady returning to Gillette Stadium, first of many other occasions where he'll be playing as an opposing team at Gillette Stadium. But it was big, a lot of pressure. There was always the debate: was it Belichick or was it Brady? I think that question's been answered. But it was really interesting to see them clash head to head for the first time since their, I guess you could say, breakup. Yeah. Their mutual parting of ways. But yeah,
they're just on a break.
On a break, yeah, we're on a break.
It's complicated.
For our fans. But yeah, a lot closer than I thought. Mac Jones, he could have crumbled under the limelight of Tom Brady, or he could have excelled. I mean, I don't know if he excelled, but he played.
I don't think he played bad.
But surprisingly good.
What's that?
Surprisingly good he played.
Yeah.
There was a lot of drops, especially on the last drive. AB, the first deep throw got lost in the lights, and then the second one he put right on the money. He just couldn't come up with the ball. And then there was the big play down.
Right,
it was not, so that's what I thought. When I thought, New England, Tampa, a touchdown favorite. That seems about right. New England hasn't shown a lot this year. They did beat the Jets, but that was more a Jets loss in my opinion. The Patriots didn't do anything spectacular. It's just the Jets kind of gave them the ball. They lost to Miami, and then the week before against New Orleans, they looked awful. And so I feel like a touchdown favorite for Tampa. Touchdown, 7 points, that seemed about right. But when I saw the conditions, I'm like, this is going to be a closer game. This fits right into New England's hands because Brady won't be able to throw the ball all over. Not to mention Gronkowski wasn't there. Gio Bernard wasn't there. But I have to tell you, Mac Jones looked very good in that football game, all things considered, with all the pressure on the New England organization to see how they would play against Tom Brady. I thought he did his part, Johnny. He looked pretty solid out there.
For sure, despite that brutal Tampa secondary, he played well. But it's funny, Gav, you said the Brady Belichick debate, right? But I think the Pats played better than expected. I don't know if it really ends that,
Yeah, it definitely.
Belichick's coaching made that game close, right? It wasn't Mac Jones, it wasn't the defense, it was Belichick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think what happens if it's dry conditions? What do you think happens?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it helped both teams, like that Tampa secondary wasn't taken advantage of, and Brady couldn't throw as well either.
That's true. But what I think for years that was the discussion. But since I would say 2000, right after they beat Seattle, so I'd say 15, 14, it started getting there because they knew it was all right. Tom's in his late 30s. This is the greatest dynasty ever. The media gets involved. Well, who's responsible? So I feel like the media really started that one, and then that's really when the relationships start to, deteriorate. I think when Deflategate happened, and Bill's like, I don't know, I don't touch the footballs. That's all Tom's doing. I feel like that's when Brady's like, what the hell? Like, you don't go to bat for me. I'm literally the greatest football player of all time, and you just threw me under the bus in front of the media. So I feel that's when it started, and we could see that, okay, maybe Tom won't end his career in Foxborough. I think that's when it started, and ever since then, it really just went away.
And then he was like, well, the one way to prove to everyone, that is to go somewhere else.
I don't think Tom has anything else to prove.
No.
He's just playing because he loves the game right now. I get that he wanted to win a Super Bowl without Bill. And he's done that already. 1 year, 1 ring. Now he's just adding to the legacy. But to be honest, I think Belichick helped his argument a little bit on Sunday. Like, you're right, he coached amazing, wasn't enough to win. He didn't have the players around him to do it.
The team was obviously head and shoulders better than the Pats team, and still, despite the weather, they played close.
It was a close game.
Yeah.
It was a very close game. Did the crowd have something to do with it? Perhaps. Home field.
A lot. If I may say, a lot of these so-called Patriots fans are all of a sudden sporting Buccaneers jerseys, and like, hey, I'm all, you know what? If you want to just jump fan bases like that, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. But, you know, are you a Patriots fan? Or are you a Tom Brady fan? I'm starting to see that there's a lot of Tom Brady fans. Can you be both?
Yes.
I feel like you could root for the Patriots if that's your team, and you can also cheer for Brady, but you can't root for the Bucks. I feel like that's the difference.
So I might fall into that Venn. If we had a Venn diagram, Bucks fans, Patriots fans,
Brady fans,
and in the middle is like where maybe not, maybe it's Brady or Patriots, and in the middle, I'm in the. Well, it's kind of like I don't think you guys can relate really. Because you haven't had a player of that dominance.
We weren't spoiled and born into a dynasty. It's kind of like, okay, you're
they worked for that dynasty.
You're dating a girl. You're dating the Patriots. Then all of a sudden you break up. You know, she leaves you for another guy. Do you go on dates with them? Do you go, you know? To
but you're acting.
That's a really good point.
Thank you.
But you're acting like this girlfriend didn't do anything for you. In this case, this girlfriend gave me 6 championships, 20 years of utter dominance.
Did she
3 MVPs?
Okay, did she break
it was mutual.
It was mutual.
But
dust.
you can kind of argue because you're acting like Brady's like, I'm out of here. Tom wanted to stay, was the reports, but Bill wanted to move on from Tom.
Reports.
So in reports, Adam Schefter's report. Adam Schefter's just a report.
My question for you, Tommy, though, is who are you happier to see win, the Bucks or the Pats?
I wanted New England to win the game.
Okay. All right, that's fair then.
But in my hot take, which I posted, it was kind of weird. I wasn't like cheering against Brady. I didn't want Brady to get sacked or Brady to throw a pick, but I wanted Mac Jones to score more points than Tom Brady.
You wanted to be respectable.
But I didn't want Tom to look bad because he's my guy. So I wanted Tampa to score points, but I wanted, like, if Nick Folk kicks that field goal at the end of the game, that was the perfect scenario for me. Like, Brady didn't turn the ball over. He didn't look bad. You know, they just lost. It wasn't like Brady was the reason they lost. I didn't want him to look bad. He still looks 44, like top 3 quarterback in football right now. And to be honest, it's most Pats fans, even at the game, there was a lot of Buccaneers Tom Brady jersey. Usually you think that'd be Tom Brady Patriot jersey night, which I was wearing my Tom Brady's Patriots uniform jersey. But you looked at the crowd, you're right, Gavin. Notice there have been a lot of Pats fans who have just jumped ship. But I feel like if you polled Boston fans in the playoffs last year, who are you cheering for? They're all cheering for Tampa Bay because New England's not there. Who are they going to cheer for?
They have a tie to that team. They have a tie to that team.
But it's kind of like you're a LeBron guy.
Yeah, I'm a LeBron guy.
But you're a Knicks fan.
But I'd rather the Knicks win than the Lakers win.
Okay.
You know, and it's like if LeBron was on the Knicks and he left the Knicks, he'd be dead to me.
You think?
That's what.
What if LeBron was like MJ? You know, like Bulls fans still love him, and then that's.
I don't know. The way I see it, you're not on my team. You're against my team. Sure, I will love LeBron. He's my favorite player.
Oh, interesting.
You know, but you leave the team like that, dead to me.
Well, am I bad to say Tampa is my second favorite team?
No, it's okay to say that.
And in the NFC, if I want a team to make out of the NFC, it's Tampa because of Tom.
But the second Tom leaves Tampa, are you a Tampa fan?
No.
No, so you're a Tom Brady fan.
Well, I'm not a Tampa fan. I'm a New England fan, but my second favorite team is Tampa right now. But let's say Tom Brady goes to, like New Orleans, then I'll cheer for New Orleans, in the NFC.
I feel like a better way to phrasing it is you're a Pats fan, but your favorite player is Brady.
Yeah, but I'm not just a Brady liker. Or lover, I should say. Brady played on
Brady's
my Brady played for my team.
Because
he was my guy.
A Brady lover. Okay, a Brady lover. This is a Brady lover. We're gonna set a definition. Brady
lover,
I
am.
AKA a Giselle. A Brady lover or a Giselle. That is someone, and you can put that in words underneath.
Put on Webster Dictionary.
Yeah, exactly. Is someone who is only a fan of a team for one specific player, for Tom Brady. So you obviously root for the Patriots, and you also root for Tom. But if you totally jump ship from the Pats, which a lot of people did, and are all of a sudden Buccaneers fans, you're a Giselle, and you don't belong in my face at all.
I like that.
Wow, that's powerful.
Bradyism.
Appreciate that.
Seriously, a lot of Brady hate at this table. It's insane.
Well, you got 2 New York fans who
Johnny hasn't had that many bad memory in
you like the
Super Bowl.
You like the
That's what matters. You know.
Yeah, me not so much. But,
I know. The thing is, though, I was born in 2000, November 2000. Tom Brady was drafted by the Patriots in April 2000. So Tom Brady was a member of the Patriots longer than I've been alive when he left. So all I knew, like if you go to my dad, Steve Grogan, Drew Bledsoe, Tony Easton, they were awful.
Drew wasn't that bad.
That's me.
Drew wasn't that
wasn't
bad.
that bad.
No. But they went in 80. So when they joined 1960, didn't make the Super Bowl till 86, and they lost to that Bears team, and they just got absolutely blown out. And I think the year my parents got married, they went 1-15, and then they made one Super Bowl with Drew Bledsoe when they lost to the Packers. So for I would say, almost 40 years, New England were like how we look at like the Browns, or we did look at the Browns, like just a laughing stock. New England, the Patriots, they suck. And then they hire Belichick, draft Tom Brady, and now that's all this generation is known. Like my dad, he had no Pats friends growing up in Montreal. No one liked the Pats. They liked the Steelers, the Cowboys, the Giants, the Dolphins. They like the good teams. Now we go our age, how many damn Patriots fans are there? It's insane.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like it's not like saying these kids aren't true Pats fans. They are, but they technically are the ones who are jumping ship to Tampa Bay right now.
That's true, but you get a lot of, because they have had such a long dynasty, okay? And we have been growing up, and a lot of kids our age, when you don't come from football families, you go through high school, you start to really develop a love for the game. You're going to choose your favorite team. And if you had a choice right now, like if I had to pick, what team would you like? Are you picking an underdog? Are you picking the worst team in the league? Or are you picking the best team?
I feel like, you know what? If I didn't have any ties to, like, I have ties to Boston. That's why I cheer for all the Boston teams. But if I didn't have a ties to Boston, I don't know. I feel like I would take a middle of the pack team to not look like a bandwagon.
That's fair.
Because I don't want to imagine me just hopping on and be like, oh, well, I'm a Warrior. Remember the Warriors phase? I'm a Warriors fan now. I like the Warriors. Or I'm a LA Kings fan. Or
that was a thing.
That was a thing. But like, no, I'm not gonna say Chicago or any of those teams like the Blackhawks because they're an original 6 team. You get it. They might have like the LA Kings. Like before they were good for like 5 years. No, I didn't meet one LA Kings fan. You know what I mean? So like Golden State's the main one.
100%.
Like, you know what I mean? So I feel like I would choose a middle of the pack team. I don't know if that's the same with you guys.
My whole belief is if you don't have some sort of connection or tie to the city where the team plays from, you're a bandwagon. Especially if you hop on the Pats or something like that. 100% bandwagon.
So if you're not from the New England area or have any relation, so I'm okay.
How long does that last? The title of bandwagon? Because I could be a bandwagon of the Golden State Warriors, but then if they can miss the playoffs for the next 10 years, if I'm still a Golden State Warriors fan,
still a bandwagon. It matters when you hop on.
Okay, that's an interesting.
Really?
I mean, if you stick with it, I have a lot more respect for you than if you don't. Right. But when you hop on, if they're the best, they're a bandwagon. Unless you're from.
But a traditional bandwagoner hops on and off.
Right. That's the thing. That's why if you stick with it, I respect it.
Okay.
But a real bandwagon, like you said, when they're shit, they're gonna go to some other team, right?
Yeah.
So if you hop on the team when they're an absolute mess, you're not like. Even if you're not from there, that's not being.
I have respect for you because then you're choosing more of a team that
you want to
want to be with than a team that's good.
Yeah, that's fair. It's
my philosophy, at least.
I agree because I don't like when people just start following sports and they're like
Seahawks.
Seattle.
Seattle was bad.
Oh my God! Overnight.
2015 Madden Mobile, Richard Sherman era.
Oh my God! Yeah.
That was like. Overnight, you start.
To be honest, that was they beat Denver, and Denver was the other. But I get in the '90s, there was the Broncos were good, so a lot of parents were, at least of our kids, our generation, were Broncos fans. So their kids, I like the Broncos.
Second generation bandwagon.
Yeah, but exactly. But after they beat, everyone was on the Peyton Manning Denver train, and me and a few other kids were cheering for Seattle, and then I swear to God, a week later, there's Seattle. In our high school, everywhere, everyone likes Seattle.
Lime green, everything.
Like kids, I didn't even know who followed football. Like, yeah, I like Seattle. Seattle, like, what's your tie to Seattle? Like Marshawn Lynch.
Who?
Like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. And I remember they played New England that Super Bowl last year, and I swear to God, and New England was the bandwagon team. I think there was more Seattle fans that one year.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, they're on New England now.
Because New England had a dynasty for like the better part of 2 decades.
From 01 till what, 19?
Yeah,
so that's
exactly.
18, 20.
Better part of 2 decades.
Yeah.
I mean, in 20 years, you can't just say, okay, in 20 years when they're good, no one can be their fan. No one can jump on, or else you'll be a bandwagon. So 20 years, that's a long time you're going to develop some fans. But when it's not flashes in the pan, but it's the shorter dynasties like we saw with Seattle, Golden State, teams that were good for 3-4 years max.
The San Francisco Giants.
Yes, that's a big one too. You see all of a sudden these guys coming in with the pom-pom toques of their teams and their sweaters.
Oh man, I still rock those. They look awesome.
They do look awesome. But 2 years ago they were, a Panthers fan, So
oh yeah, Carolina that one year, remember?
The Camden year.
Yeah. That one. You're right. There's way more than we realize, I think. Like the little mini dynasties they hop on. Where the thing is, New England, you could have hopped on at any point and probably would have been a bandwagoner. I lucked out that
20 years. Okay, but we're gonna talk to you guys. Let us know. Are you a bandwagoner? Do you consider yourself a bandwagoner?
Well, obviously they won't.
I don't think any bandwagoner considers himself a bandwagoner.
No, but it's obvious. You look at the timeline. If you started following Seattle in 2016 and then stopped after 2017, you might be a bandwagoner.
I thought there'd be more Colts fans this generation because they were right with New England during that age, and like there's
that was early 2000s though.
That was like the Peyton Manning till like they won in 06. They won Super Bowl 06.
Yeah.
Like growing up in elementary school, we went in the same elementary school. I didn't know any Colts fans.
It's also a small market team. Not a lot of
It's
exposure.
Shout out to the Lock Boys. They picked the Colts as their team. But when they were picking their team this summer, they're like, well, I don't want to pick. They didn't want to be a bandwagoner. So they're like, I don't want to pick a team that's good. I don't want to pick a team that's bad. They chose Indy because I think A, they like the logo, and B, they're middle of the pack team.
Yeah.
They're not going to win a Super Bowl now, or maybe in the next few years, but they'll be a respectable team. That's not bandwagon at all.
That's a good point.
But if they came out and said Tampa or Kansas City, you'd be like, well, this is kind of, or Baltimore.
Even that. You're in Green
The
Bay.
Ravens. They were the other ones that really
that
The
one
Ravens,
year.
yes,
The
the
Ravens
blackout, the Beyonce blackout Super Bowl, Joe Flacco, and then we saw a revival of the Ravens fan base.
No, we're not knocking these people.
No, we're not knocking.
But it's just a fact.
Just a little bit.
We're not
Just a
knocking
little
you,
bit.
but I'm saying you don't deserve to be in any conversation.
Yeah.
with anyone.
So
We're not
all in
knocking, but
all,
you're not
I cheer for New England foremost. Technically, I have 4 teams this year because of our pool. I want all those teams to
Right,
win.
that's true. That's true.
But obviously, I have Tampa and New England in our pool. But last year, if you asked me who are you cheering for, I'm like, oh, New England, but also Tampa Bay in the NFC because A, they're not going to play each other, and B, realistically, New England weren't going to be a playoff team. So I think you saw that on the podcast last year. I was very favorable of Tampa Bay.
Oh, yeah.
Picked Tampa in every game. I was right.
I think we may have had a prediction. Is that the Tommy?
That was our first prediction. I said the Bucs were going to win the NFC, let alone the damn Super Bowl.